Marc Freedman has a purpose. As managing partner and co-founder of Evolved Profits, he and his team have over 40 years of experience in helping businesses free up cash so that it can be reinvested into helping employees, growing the business, and creating positive social impact. He is a serial entrepreneur, CEO, and the best-selling author of Expense to Profit: Eliminate the Costs That Sabotage Your Growth. Marc loves helping companies create more profits while being an agent for change. This is his purpose, and in an effort to help more companies and more people, Marc, along with co-host Yanik Silver, author of Evolved Enterprise, bring you Profits with Purpose, a podcast that aims to do just that. On the show, Marc and Yanik talk to successful corporate decision makers, exploring valuable lessons learned, experiences in growing a company, ways to reduce expenses, and all the ways a company can have a positive social impact. Join us each week and get in on the discussion so we can all have more profits with purpose. And now, here's your host, Marc Freedman.
Welcome to Profits with Purpose. Today's guest, David McKean, has over 35 years of experience in high-level business development, encompassing media, software, the global hospitality industry, and most recently, consumer packaged goods industry. After spending 10 years in sales for Discovery Channel, David co-founded the Knowland Group in 2004. Today, Knowland is the largest provider of group sales data in the world for the hospitality industry, with more than 3,000 client hotels and 50,000 users globally. As the owner, CEO of Sherpa Chai, David is taking his business acumen and applying it to building Sherpa Chai into becoming a national leading chai brand in the United States. David, welcome to Profits with Purpose.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So tell us about your background and how you ended up. It's kind of an interesting transition into Sherpa Chai.
Right. So I didn't, and I would argue today, even now, that I still don't know really anything about the CPG industry, even after 2 years of working in it. It's a different kind of animal completely. I got involved, well, frankly, because I was given bottles of Sherpa Chai. I'm not saying I just don't really drink a lot of tea or coffee, so I'd take it home. But my girls and my wife loved the stuff, and it just kept disappearing, and they kept basically. I brought home one of the new flavors back in February of 2019. And what happened is that it was about a 64-ounce bottle. I got home at like 3 p.m. The next morning, I'm leaving for the office, and my daughter is standing at the fridge and turns to me with an empty bottle and says, "Can you get another one of these?" And that's when I said, I really got to meet this Pemba guy and find out what this is all about. And so I did some due diligence, and I bought some data snapshots on the CPG industry after doing some research. And I'm like, wow, this thing has really got legs. And then I actually went out and hired a consultant in the CPG industry. And I said, here's the data I bought. Tell me if what I'm looking at is real. And basically they confirmed everything. And so I got involved initially just as an investor, but then it kind of took on more. Yeah, well, now it's back to working 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week. So,
so you were having fun. Now you're having more fun.
Yeah. There's a lot of different problems, and so these problems have ramifications that are, well, they impact the employees and so forth. So right. to some degree, the job is managing that and making sure that they're taken care of, et cetera. So, and I mean, other than a handful of white guys up front, our head of sales and our controller and myself, then everybody else who works here are all Sherpa. So we have a responsibility, and I like that.
Cool. So you founded several businesses. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced when building a successful company, and how do you overcome them?
Well, I have to say that the biggest challenge is that you don't know what you don't know. And you got to be the first one to admit, I don't know, and find people to help you figure out what those answers are. I always have kind of counted on the people that I can find that can supply me with those answers to be a lot smarter than me and to help me kind of shepherd things through. And so that's kind of the first thing I always have looked for. And And sometimes it's also a lot of just trusting your gut, because even within an industry, well-established industries, there are a lot of people that tell you one thing, but the gut says, I don't think that's the right way to do this. And I think that brings a fresh eye to it that is important.
So let's talk about Sherpa Chai. What makes it the best chai in the marketplace, other than your personal experience with your family?
Right.
Why is it different? Why is
Marc,
it the best?
I'd have to say, at first, I wasn't entirely sure what that was, but now that I've been around for a little bit longer, I know what our secret sauce is. And our secret sauce is not only the people that brew our chai, which is very authentic, but the secret sauce is the ingredients they put into it, the heart and the love that they put into this product. And heart and love and all those things, they don't really have a lot of way to value, right? You can't value that. But at the end of the day, I know what we do differently from other chai companies, and that is what makes our product it makes it stand out so much. So just as a piece of that thing, I'll give you the example of the fresh ginger that we use. And we use fresh ground turmeric in our chai and a lot of other ingredients. But the ginger is ground not every single day, it's ground every single kettle. And that ginger juice goes directly into our chai. And the analogy that I have is, if you ever been to a grow stand in Florida and you bought fresh squeezed orange juice. I don't know if you have.
I have, and I live in Florida. So there you have it.
You know what I'm talking about then.
I do.
So orange juice all across this nation is pasteurized. And it changes the flavor. The orange juice that I buy on a grow stand in Florida doesn't taste like any orange juice that you buy in a grocery store. I think that fresh ground, ginger is akin to the fresh squeezed, whether it's orange juice or grapefruit, whatever. And if you put them side by side, you can taste the difference. And the difference is profound, right? And I think that by the fact that we're one of the only ones who do that kind of thing, I think that's part of the secret sauce that we have developed here.
Very interesting. So what was the aha moment that made you realize that this could be a worthwhile venture?
When I saw the data, and this company, even though at that time was only distributed in Colorado, for example, it was like number 13 in the nation. So that told me, if it's only in one state, it's 13 in the nation, what can we do? Now we've expanded to cover Pacific Northwest and recently some distribution in Southern California, and we're hoping to grow into bigger markets there. So we're now number 4 in the nation.
Wow.
So yeah,
pretty good move.
I think that like I said, this is a product that has a lot of possibilities for future development. We want to grow. Everybody wants to grow super fast. Everybody talks about trying to go national all at once. And I've been resisting it because, to be honest with you, I've watched too many other companies try to grow too fast and shoot themselves in the foot. And in the current market that we're in, it's actually a really big challenge. I mean, the cost of our, the bottles, for example, this is directly impacted with the gas prices. Both our plastic and our glass have more than doubled in cost since I got involved. So we've got to manage that properly.
Sure. Yeah, that's a big challenge for many businesses. And I think we'll start to see some stuff adjust like it always does. You have a big spike and things come back to more of a normal curve at some point. Hopefully that'll be sooner rather than later for yourselves.
Right. Yeah.
As well as others.
Well, I think the issue there is that, the fuel cost impacts us in a lot of different ways. So first of all, it impacts us, for example, it's polypropylene, which is made from petroleum that makes our plastic bottles. Of course, the glass takes even more energy than the plastic to produce, because obviously you have to heat it to a certain temperature to produce the glass.
Sure.
So that's the beginning of the problem in our supply chain.
Then you got to get it.
Yes, exactly. Right. Next it's, just trucking the bottles from the production place to us. And then in addition to that, then we have to then truck it out to our grocery chains, et cetera. So our supply chain has been impacted pretty heavily by the events of the last, year and a half, 2 years.
Wow.
But
so let's talk about your company culture and how that culture fosters the growth of the business.
well, I tell you, everybody here kind of works on a shoestring, and we get done with less than we'd like to have, right? Love to have a whole marketing team and a sales team and all the other stuff, but we got to get done with fewer. And so it's a lot of long hours for the team here, and everybody chips in and works hard, whether that's the guys, brewing the chai, or the marketing efforts for the other team up front. So we have to get done with less, and that there's a real team spirit. There really is. I mean, everybody kind of feels like we're in this together, and to a large degree, that's also partially the Sherpa culture that has invaded how we do business here. So, for example, every day of the week, we actually have a communal lunch, and everybody on the team has a day they cook and bring lunch in. As it turns out, today was my day. So we all make it typically is curry, and then we have a rice cooker, and we have a communal lunch every afternoon, which is, I think, totally different than any place I've ever worked in the past, and I love it. I really do. I think it's a great way to build the team.
Yeah, it also bonds people too when you get to break bread together,
Agreed. So true. If we all scattered for lunch, or everybody brought a sandwich or whatever
Right.
it is, it's very different than everybody sitting around on upturned 5-gallon, containers and eating a plate of, in most cases, curry, as I said.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but I mean, the other thing too is there's a lot of statistics that taking a hour break in the middle of the day makes people more productive.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and by building the community like you're talking about, I think that also helps in the team building. That also helps in, making everybody feel like, everybody's in it together and it's a family thing. And so, yeah, I think that's pretty huge. I was going to ask you about unique challenges, but we kind of discussed that with the question before, with logistics and in the oil and stuff. Are there any other ones that you guys have to navigate in your business?
I think that's the largest one that we see, and it's not like it's an everyday,
Sure.
I mean, the first thing I do in the morning, I come in, our head brewer Dealey's here, controller Rick is here. Everybody is, the three of us are all in by, 6:30 in the morning. And we typically take a good bit of that early morning time to have not only with the cup of chai that Dealey brews for us, but to go through our daily numbers, right? We've got to be looking at this in a heads up, critical way, always searching for answers and different solutions because, we got to manage what we have, and it is a challenge.
What are the skills acquired from your previous professional career that helps most in your role at Sherpa Chai?
I would say the biggest one is the fact that, well, let me step back. So when I first got involved with this company, I had a number of friends of mine who, had different businesses, software businesses, television businesses, programming, production, all this kind of stuff. Over the years, I've got a lot of friends like that. And I remember one of my good friends actually was talking to me about the idea of Sherpa Chai, and he runs his own production company, and it's actually in Germany. He's because I was working in Germany for the last 4 years of that time, and he's a very close friend. Anyways, his comment to me was, "What the heck do you know about consumer packaged goods?" And I actually had to answer him honestly, and well, especially because it was early on, I don't know anything about it. So I think that has taught me that whether it's in the television industry or the software industry, there's a lot of kind of core business things that can be successful, move from business unit to business unit. Mm-hmm. But you have to rely on people who have more understanding of your industry than you do. And you got to make sure that you get good people around you, make sure you get a good controller around you, and somebody who can give you the advice that you're going to need, whether it's in the television industry, the software industry, or the CPG industry. You have to trust others, basically.
Yeah, I mean, building a team of experts around you helps you, not only navigate the things that you don't know well, but also helps you as a business become more successful.
Yep. And again, you got to also trust your gut, because a lot of the people in your industry, whether it's the software or the television or this industry, right? They're gonna tell you what everybody knows, right? What everybody knows. You got to do it this way. You got to get a broker. You got to do this. And then part of me actually looks at this and nah, I'm not so sure I want to do it that way, and I kind of bucked the course in a little bit in this, but I think it definitely, that's part of the kind of coming at it with a different sense of ideas and backgrounds, I think offers potentially ways to see a different way to get things done. Again, you got to weigh that against all of the advice you're getting from the other people who know this industry, right? So,
right. But it's like Albert Einstein once said, we cannot solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them.
I agree.
So, going with your gut and listening to what people say, I always find that, to be very helpful in formulating the final decision to make yourself that the outcome is going to be the right outcome.
Agreed. Yes.
So you guys have a strong commitment to giving back. Can you speak of some of the social impact causes that you have in place?
Yeah, one of the other reasons why I got involved with Sherpa Chai and I found it to be something I really wanted to be involved with was the giving back. Pemba has demonstrated. Pemba's my partner and the founder of the company, but he runs a restaurant down in Boulder, highly successful businessman. Anyways, he has always had an attitude about giving back to the Sherpa community. He grew up in a little tiny village that is a 7-day walk to the nearest road. He quite literally climbed out of the Kumbo Valley, which is the valley leading up to Everest, and he did it by not only being an entrepreneur, but also by trekking, leading guides, and that got him to a place where eventually he ended up 20 years ago in Boulder, Colorado, and has a very successful restaurant. But he has also managed to bring over quite a lot of people from the Sherpa community to work in his restaurant. When he grew up as a child, it was a 3-hour walk to school. And I remember the first time hearing that story thinking, oh, that's probably not true. That's my dad. 5 miles uphill in the snow each way to school, right? We all have. But I've been in the village and I've looked at the schoolhouse on the other side of the river valley below, and it's at least a 3-hour walk for a Sherpa, let alone for a guy like me. And, so he went back many years later and actually built a suspension bridge so that kids can get to school in 45 minutes. This was in large part because when he was 11, he and his best friend were going to school, and his best friend got washed away and never to be found. And so he, had his goal was to fix that, right? And he did it. And then in addition to that, he went back and built a hydro generating plant to generate electricity in the village, so that they have electric light at night. And then huge job raising money to get back to the community of Nepal, and especially the Sherpa community after the earthquakes of 2015. This kind of thing is not just the big projects. I mean, he also adopted like 3 children and has agreed to kind of make sure that they get through school, right? Dealey, our head brewer, has adopted over the years 3 different children as well. Now 2 of the girls are grown and went to university, and one of them's a nurse at Kathmandu Hospital, and all of that was done because this is part of the community, part of the spirit of it. They want to get back. Dealey's goal and one day is to go back and build a community center in the village of Budabare, where he grew up, that would take care of elderly people during the day, because during the day now the parents go to work and the children go to school, and the grandparents have no one to look after them. And I think that this is something that I think I want to be, well, I do. I want to be part of that and helping with that. So cool. I actually have it's not really an adoption. It's more of a sponsoring role for a girl whose parents work in the tea on the tea plantations that grow our black tea. And it's been wonderful. I talked to her a couple of times. Maybe every other month is the way it works out. Now, as it turns out, her birthday was in February. So this last month and a half has ended up that I've had more conversations. But she's this 10-year-old little girl, and she is just sharp as you can ever believe. I mean, she's super smart. As an example, the first meeting I had with her, the people who are helping to create this relationship, she was on the call as a translator, and Navidi is the girl's name. And almost immediately, Navidi goes, "And my English is perfect. I don't need a translator." And I was like, "Okay, fine, perfect." So it's just, there's a lot to it. And I think that giving back to that community is, well, it's important to everybody here.
So do you feel that the giving back contributes to the success of the company? And if so, how?
Well, I know that sentiment does contribute to the success of the company, because the company is built around fostering, not only making the best chai in the world. I think that that's important to everybody here. I think it helps. Well, it's part of the motivation for why we all, get up and go to work every day. So, yeah, I think it's a factor. It plays into it. So,
what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
That's a really good question. I don't think I've ever been asked that one. So there's a friend of mine who's been a mentor over the years. He started a very successful company, and his advice has always been, when I've talked to him, is that you got to trust others, and you gotta have humility. And I think that probably as a life lesson has been some of the best advice.
I like that.
Humility, and you need to trust others.
Yeah.
I think that most of the people out there in the world generally want to be helpful. And I think that it just comes down to, like I said, trusting others and being humble. Maybe also I'd throw in there, which Tom never said, but an attitude of gratitude is a big motivating thing for me.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
We had more attitude, gratitude. I think the world would be a better place for sure. I
got one other one. Another old friend gave me a piece of advice, and he used to actually give this to me all the time, especially when I would be sweating some issue. And he would always say, "Dave, is anybody kicking your ass right now?" And I'd be, "Well, it's this. Is anybody kicking your ass right now?" "No." "All right, then."
Enough said.
Yeah, enough said.
Wow.
So, yeah, life gives us a lot of lemons. We really do have to step back and just say, "Hey, come on, in the grand scheme, how's this going to impact me in 6 months?" Right.
Right.
Generally speaking, most of that stuff won't.
Right.
And certainly when you come around to the day that you're on your deathbed or whatever, are these issues that you whined and complained about on March the 16th of 2022. How many of those are around? None of them will be around. So that was the advice that he was giving me. Don't sweat the small stuff.
I love it.
Yeah, it's true. It is. We all know it's true, but we get wound up, and so sometimes you have to just step back and not sweat that. Right?
Breathe the air. Breathe the fresh air. Right.
Right. Yeah. My brother's line is always pertinent in this concept, which is, "Hey, at least I'm looking at the right side of grass today."
It's one of my favorite lines. The grass is green on this side.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? It's
right?
True. Very true.
Is there anything that I haven't mentioned that you want to touch on?
No, I think you've covered all the bases here. We got our own issues for today on, supplying bottles for my guys to fill, and et cetera, et cetera. But like I said, we'll solve that problem.
So if listeners want to contact you, where can they get in touch with you?
Dave at sherpachai.com is the easiest way. Send me an email. I'm happy to talk to anybody. And the other one is, you can check out the website, sherpachai.com.
So when are you coming to the East Coast?
Well, I actually grew up on the East Coast, although I didn't get out.
Well, I know you were in Maryland, right?
Yeah, well, Delaware.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so we've got a family home in Delaware, which I haven't been able to make it to in a little over a year and a half, which is not good because I usually try to get back, there every now and then. But as far as Sherpa Chai getting to the East Coast, that is actually something we're working really hard on. And I hope that we can get some distribution out there just as soon as I can get a production line that can meet that need. The problem we run into right now is that we're in the process of looking for a bigger production facility and a bigger line to produce our chai on. I've had a lot of interest from the Costco's of the world, and to be honest with you, we're just not ready to support that. We just have the issue is you got to grow slow and you got to manage it properly, and I think we're getting closer to being able to distribute on the East Coast. So hopefully that'll come soon.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. In fact, we were down in Florida a couple of weeks ago because the manufacturer of the production line equipment is actually in Hialeah in Miami. It's kind of West Miami area.
I'm in Boca, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I would love to be in Florida. Publix is just a perfect market for us, but we'd be at a challenge to make sure that we can get our product there on a monthly, timely basis, et cetera, based on the fact that our production volume is really at max right now, which we're working to change.
Yeah, so there's a lot of economic incentives out there, which can obviously help with expanding the business. And, we look at that for a lot of our different clients, some of the things that we do. So, but yeah, that definitely make sure you touch on that part before you decide to buy something and start building something, because there's a lot of help out there that can maybe make things happen quicker.
Well, happy to talk to you after this, some more about Florida and what we're talking about here.
Yeah. Well, perfect. Anyhow, David, thank you. It's been wonderful. You guys are doing great stuff in the chai arena, but what you're doing to give back with everything that the business has been able to provide to give back to the Sherpa community is absolutely huge. And that's what Profits with Purpose is all about.
Yep.
So I want to thank you for being a guest. We'll have all your contact information in the show notes, and we look forward to it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Great talking to you.
You bet.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Profits with Purpose. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you are interested in reducing the expenses of your business, creating positive social impact, or contributing to the show, reach out to Marc or Yanik with Evolved Profits by emailing podcast@evolvedprofits.com or visiting the website www.evolvedprofits.com.